Hey everybody, I'm Spencer Wheeler, and today if you are here, it is probably because you are a business owner and you're trying to get a little more time. You're trying to learn how to automate more of your business. Now when I say that, am I talking about turning everything in your company robotic? Are we talking about going all AI? No, we are not. But what we are talking about are the small tasks that you do every single day that ultimately end up eating up all your time as a business owner, that take away your time from being able to focus on the actual business and less time spending on the minute little tasks every single day. So these are things like manually sending emails, following up with every single customers, checking everybody through your leads, always bouncing between different platforms to produce one result, okay? This is what we're talking about automating. Ultimately, if you do this right, not only is it going to make your life much, much easier, but it's also going to help you keep up with your customers. It's going to give your customers a better experience and ultimately help you step back so you can scale and grow your company. Let's go ahead and jump in to everything your business should be automating. And if any of these ring a bell, make sure to take a note, like, subscribe, and we'll go ahead and move ahead. So first and foremost, CRM, if you haven't heard of this, then you are definitely a small business, but a CRM is a customer management or a customer relationship management tool, okay? It's a mouthful. We just call it a CRM. But this is basically gonna be your place, okay? This is your spot where you keep all your customers, you nurture all your leads, you pay attention to where they're at in your pipeline, what kind of sales you're producing, and what more you need to do to nurture and take care of these customers. Now, with that being said, everybody uses a CRM like it's a Rolodex. It is not a Rolodex, everybody. If you're going to use it for a Rolodex, just write it down on a piece of paper. Might as well. CRM can do so much. So here's a couple examples of good CRMs that a lot of people are using: HubSpot, Pipedrive, Zoho. And the idea behind these is to not just track your customers, but also to be able to schedule leads, to track where they are in your pipeline, to be able to follow up, nurture with them without you having to be a part of every single thing. You should be able to have a team nurturing your leads, and you should be able to check in on it at any given time and know exactly where every one of your customers are without calling your team. And if you cannot do that, then it's not automated correctly. This is what's going to nurture the most amount of customers and something that a lot of people miss out on. 2, email marketing, and I just wrote email here, but email marketing. A lot of people don't understand or don't know that you can schedule this, you can set it up on auto send, a lot of these things. So for example, we're going to jump right in here. So we have MailChimp, ActiveCampaign, ConvertKit. These are just a few examples. But one thing I want to touch on here is a lot of this can be automated. So you might be using MailChimp. You might send a manual email every week to your customers using MailChimp. And if you're not sending emails to your customers, you guys are missing out. Email is still one of the highest converting ways to turn customers into new customers or to turn old customers into higher buying customers, okay? It's all about raising LTV. It's about getting new leads and raising LTV all right here. If you're collecting emails, you're winning. That's great. But now we need to know what to do with those emails. And again, you cannot, as a business owner, be focused on sending emails every single day. It's just not logical. That's just not how you grow your company. It's not hard to sit down, especially if you're a one-person team, if maybe you have 3 people, assign somebody to do this. You can sit down and every single one of these is going to have some sort of auto follow-up campaign. It's going to have a welcome. You can create a welcome, some nurture campaigns. Auto schedule, like you're just going to build out a bunch of emails and you're going to schedule them. That's at the most basic level, okay? When you get a little further along and a little braver and a little more comfortable with how to automate these types of things, you can go into workflows that as people sign up or as people give you their email, you have a whole workflow going. So you shouldn't have to touch it again. You should build it once and then add your customer cycle through, and depending on what point of their journey they are on, they will have the correct campaign going to their email. Okay? So again, these are just a few. If you have Shopify, for example, Shopify has a new app called Flow. You can segment your customers, use the Flow app to automate everything. It doesn't always have to be inside these inside these applications. You can use other tools to help automate it if you don't see the automations you're looking for. Promise there's a way to do it. All right, so next we're moving on to fulfillment. This is going to be Shopify, WooCommerce, this is ShipStation. This is basically how do you make sales if you're not in the store, right? So how do you sell a product without being face-to-face with your customers? Well, obviously you're thinking online. So Shopify is e-commerce, WooCommerce, same thing, Wix, basically building a platform to sell your product. Now, ShipStation is a little different. ShipStation is a program that's going to match, or you're going to pair it with Shopify or WooCommerce or whatever. And the idea behind it is it's going to auto-fulfill the order. So you want to make sure you can track your inventory. You want to make sure that's always good to go. You can make this really easy. When somebody puts an order in, it can be set on auto ship. Now, it depends on the store, depends on the product. I know, yada, yada, yada. You all are going to have excuses why you cannot do this. But I promise you, if you just look, there's a way to automate the fulfillment and sales of whatever product it is you're selling, okay? And that does mean service base, okay? So we're going to go into customer support right here, and this is going to kind of tie into the service base side, where I'd say fulfillment side on that, you're like, well, I got to call somebody. We got to do this manually. Guys, there's going to be FAQs, there's going to be basics. So what we're going to talk about here is the customer service support, or the customer support, all right? If you've already automated your fulfillment side, so you're getting leads, you're bringing them in, you need to nurture them now, but maybe they take, maybe there's different pricing, maybe you got to quote everybody, maybe there's a whole bunch of different reasons why your pricing or product is unique, maybe, all right? Well, here's a few tools that are going to help. One, let's cover these because these are going to be more of like chatbot type stuff. But let's go into FAQs. This is one of my favorite ones. And it's not necessarily an automation, but it's going to take a massive amount of workload off of you as a business owner, okay? Because you're going to get the same people asking the same questions. They just do. It's just part of life. And so the idea behind it is if they're asking the same questions over and over and over again, make an FAQ page. Maybe put it up somewhere. Address those FAQs in a way that you're not getting 10,000 emails, calls, or text messages asking the same questions. Because if we can alleviate all of that, it saves you so much time. Now, next thing, we're going to go into chatbots. This is where I would say maybe it's a little harder to automate your service-based companies, but it can still be done. So a lot of these chatbots, ManyChat, all these things, they can break down the basics. Say you're a service-based company, you do lawn care, okay? You can set up boundaries for these so that when somebody sends you an email and says, hey, I need a quote, this can automatically respond, ask the square footage, it can ask how much lawn, it can ask what extra services they want, it can do all the upsells, it can do all of that, and based on the information you give it, it can spit out an answer. Pretty cool, huh? That way, the other thing it's going to do is it's going to help qualify those leads, because how many times have you taken a phone call, answered an email, and then just got ghosted because they didn't like your price? Well, how much time did you spend with that person? I'm not saying it's a bad thing to enjoy your customers. I'm just saying we can use your time somewhere else that's more valuable, especially as a business owner. So automating this through ManyChat, which ManyChat is mainly online, so if you're getting a lot of leads through Instagram, Facebook, anything like that, TikTok. Chatbots, those can go through emails. You'll see them a lot on websites, down the little bottoms, like chat with us, all that kind of stuff. People actually love that. And I know you don't want to be a robotic company, but it will save so much time just getting the mundane things out of the way for you. Zendesk is another great one. The other cool thing is, think about your phones, things like that. I know everybody hates the dial 1 to talk to Frederick, right? But one cool thing that these types of systems will do is help route support tickets to the correct people. As a business owner, you cannot take every call. So there should be a barrier between you and the customer. Sounds crazy because I know your customer is your boss, but it shouldn't be that way. You are the boss of your own company. You pick and choose who you serve, and if we can change that mindset from we serve everybody to I get to choose who we serve, then you're going to do a lot better. Okay, so you're going to be able to route support tickets, take you away from the front line, and qualify leads all by doing this. Okay, You're not going to get ghosted anymore. You're not going to spend a ton of time trying to qualify leads. If they're not interested, they're just going to ghost a chatbot. Not a problem. All right, so we're going to go to workflow. Workflow, what do we mean by this? Basically, it's tying all of your systems together. A lot of us have this program and this program, but we have to utilize them separately because there's not a workaround or a get together, if you will, right? So a couple tools you can use for this is Zapier and Make. Zapier is one of the most popular tools for this. The whole goal of Zapier is basically to pair systems or to combine them in a way that, for example, Millionaire Systems book. When you order those books, they get sent to a print-on-demand store. The print-on-demand store does not match my current book supplier. Well, instead of me going in and manually inputting everybody's information and trying to order every book individually, which there's too many of you, I couldn't do it. So instead, I use Zapier to pair the two. So now when an order comes in, Zapier then notifies the next program to go ahead and get started. It's just a bridge between two programs, okay? But it is infinitely valuable, so don't sleep on that. Make sure to connect your system and create magic. Now, when I say create magic, it's doing all the hard work for you. Like I said, it's putting things together, things you didn't think could go together. This does it for you. Pretty amazing. Invoicing. Now, this one I see specifically for service-based companies because if you're e-commerce, they're already going to get an invoice or they're going to pay up front, anything like that. But if you're a service-based company, if you have to do the job before you get paid, I talk to so many service-based companies that still have their sales reps out there, or not their reps, but their actual journeyman or whoever out there doing the job. After they finish the job, they then try to collect payment. Okay, there's a couple problems with that. One, you really got to trust your employees, okay? And you might have the best employees, I get it. Two, you're wasting your employees' time because they could be on to the next job. Three, it kind of gives a bad vibe for your customer because it's a little more unprofessional. And you're limiting the amount of payment options they had. I had a guy who had one Square reader and he had two drivers and two workers for this electrical company. And so they were sharing a card reader. Well, how inconvenient is that? When you go to ask for payment and they say, well, I only have a card. Well, now you got to call the other driver. He's got to come over, bring the card reader. It shouldn't be that way, okay? QuickBooks, Shopify, FreshBooks, Stripe. There are so many different platforms out there, it's crazy. Whatever you use to accept payment or to track payment, it should be one tool that can auto-invoice your customers and accept payment through that, okay? One, that's going to take away any theft. It's just going to take away theft, okay? Especially with cash, anything like that. Just take that away. Two, it's going to get rid of wasted time. If your workers are sitting there trying to get paid instead of going on to the next job, you're just wasting time, and that's ultimately losing money for you. The next thing is your customer is going to feel more confident, especially if there's a secure payment option for them other than just giving cash or a check to somebody. The other problem with that is it's not trackable, right? So if one of your employees gets a check and puts it in the car, maybe it falls behind the seat, maybe it falls in between the seat, no one's the wiser. Unless they marked it somewhere, unless they said something, but then you don't receive the check unless you're going through the car and you find it a month later. But at that point, you've already reached out to the customer. The customer is saying they already paid, but you don't have a check. Let's just alleviate all that. Create some sort of invoicing system. The invoice should go out to the customer as soon as the job is finished. Your sales rep or the sales rep or the employee, the tradesman, whatever, should not be collecting payment, okay? This is easy. It builds confidence with your customers as well as brings in more money and saves you time. And last but not least, we're going to talk about dashboards. This is where the magic happens. A lot of people say, hey, how soon can we see results? How do we know anything's happening? How do we know which systems are working, which ones aren't? How do I know if my marketing works? Blah, 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 blah. Well, all of that comes down to dashboards and information. Data is so important to your company. The hard thing is people start so many platforms that they have to pull data from so many different places, which means it takes more time. which means you're less likely to do it, right? So we need to make it easy, we need to make it quick, and we need to make it happen all in one place so that you can have access to the data immediately. You can see if the new ad's working. You can see if the new marketing team's doing what they're supposed to be doing. You can see if the new sales pitch has increased or decreased revenue. You can see if it's increased or decreased customer churn. You can see all of that in one place. You can see your real-time cash flow. That's really important that a lot of companies don't think about. All of that should be done within a dashboard. Now, if you're just starting out, if you're a beginner, a really simple way to start out is Google Sheets. You can make a simple Google Sheet, really basic. I even share some platforms and stuff in our courses. I've got some free ones for you guys down in the links. But Google Sheets are a big deal, and then Data Studio is a step up, okay? And there's a few different KPI tracking dashboards, all that kind of stuff. Whatever works best for you in your situation. Shopify, a lot of the e-commerce stores, they have this stuff built in, especially if it's a point of sale plus e-commerce. A lot of this analytics and dashboards are already there. You just have to learn how to read them. Having all that makes such a big difference in your day-to-day company. One, it keeps you real-time numbers, and it shows you if you're floating or sinking, because you're never staying the same, you're floating or sinking. So data is so important. Now, if any of this is starting to sound a little frustrating, maybe I've gone too fast, or maybe you feel like this is just too much information or doesn't apply to you. Maybe you're thinking, I don't even know where to start with this. Well, if you go ahead, click the link below, there's a free system scorecard. All this is going to do is walk you through a few very basic systems that you can outline and help you figure out where your biggest weak points are. Once you know where your biggest weak points are, that's where you can start. Take the confusion and stress out of everything, download the system scorecard, go ahead, get that set up right away, and you can always reach out to us and we're glad to help you. But those are the biggest systems, those are the biggest automations that are going to save you ultimately weeks of your time every single month and get you focused on becoming a business owner, not your own best employee. If this is helpful, like and subscribe. Love to see you guys in the next videos, and we'll just keep growing your business.